computer labs at the elementary schools will still be closed certain days per week, or is there a way we can work around that?
No. You know, again, I'm trying to focus on the positive here.
Right.
But it is worth mentioning that there are a number of things that we're simply not going to be able to do, and we've made some difficult choices, some priorities, but that means that we will not be rehiring a certified professional for the middle school library. We will not be rehiring a second teacher to work on the integration of technology within regular instruction. We will not be rehiring a paraprofessional, the third paraprofessional, to staff fully the elementary libraries, and we won't be rehiring a computer lab paraprofessional at the elementary level to keep the computer and the libraries open on a 5-day-a-week process or schedule. We're not rehiring the high school 11th and 12th grade physical education teacher. Although, you know, it's interesting as we talk about high school physical education, I want to explore this issue a little bit more, but some schools have looked at a way of providing sort of alternatives to a full physical education. If a student is a full participant in athletics, if they're involved in a dance program outside, or there's a set of standards, and you need to have it signed off, much in the same way that we sign off on community service. We might look for ways to find alternative access that our students can have to physical activity. It's not physical education, but at least it's a demonstration that they're remaining physically active.
But it's not engaging those kids that aren't, you know, that probably need to be.
Well, what I'm understanding is that some schools are actually taking a proactive position, you know, looking for ways and saying, you can get involved, just like the community education. Here are ways, or the community service requirement, here are ways that you can meet the standard and become physically involved. So this might be a way to look for partnerships with businesses who might, or agencies that might come in and offer some of those programs, say during the
Power block, sort of an open gym idea.
or where outside agencies could come in, and they're not taking the place for credit, but providing opportunities for, you know, let's say if we had an outside group doing a yoga class, and so our students could participate in that, or a dance program.
And it fits within that time of the
Correct.
potluck rather than the
Right,
90-minute
but it's not a
course.
credit.
I mean, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be a graded course, it'd just be an optional program
It's
that
an
kids.
optional program, no grade, whether it's low cost or no cost, and, you know, we would provide the time and the space.
Is that something we could fit under our extracurricular activities fee? In other words, most students participate in some extracurricular activity. Is that something, even though it would be during the school day, could we do that?
You can't charge the activity fee during the school day.
Okay.
Okay,
It has
it's
to be
not just
after
the
school.
credit restriction, it's the time.
It has to be after school, okay.
But, you know, not every kid makes the team.
Right.
A lot of kids get cut. Our enrollment at the high school is growing, more and more kids.
Yep.
We didn't have the opportunity to add
Freshman
more
sports.
freshman sports.
Right. For example, we've started several new clubs this year. We've started the Ultimate Frisbee Club, and initial reports from Mr. Bernard indicate that it's very popular.
It is.
And we started a running club.
Yes.
Yep.
And so those kinds of things that may not elevate itself, and it may not meet the state framework in physical education enough to qualify for credit and be put on a transcript per se, but at least we're going to explore ways in which these alternatives, because we want kids
Yes.
to be, we're really focusing on fitness here.
Yes.
And alternative ways to remain fit.
You're
Because
providing the function.
Right.
Yes.
We're providing the function.
Right.
And again, I'm drawing the parallel with the community service requirement. And another area that, it's not physical fitness, but I'll point to Needham High School is providing a certification to students in global education. It's not a course per se, but they list a series of standards, and if a student achieves those standards, they get a competency certificate that says, you have done these things. Similar to the community service, you have achieved this standard. It's not a course, it's not credit, it's an alternative above and beyond a transcript. So a student could then take that and say, well, it's not on my transcript, but I did this, and this. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking at. And-
Those are the kind of things, even in the library and computer area, that we're gonna need to think outside the box. Because as Hal said earlier tonight, we need 5% just to maintain year
Right.
after year. And anything beyond that is subject to an override, unless we find alternatives, and I think that's a great idea.
Any comments or questions on the budget? As Dr. Shorten said, we want to focus on the positive. We're in a much better situation this May, first meeting, than we were last May,
Last
first
year.
meeting. But we still have challenges.
And just my own comment, I know that this is the second year that an override did not pass, and tremendous effort by a number of parent support groups, and actually, in addition to NRU, which was not the override group, but there was a separate override group, a lot of good work. And I think also, between the town and school, this year,
Yes.
the burden on the town, a lot of work has been done to support the schools, to come away with a 7.7% budget, and to be able to restore the things that we're doing. We're not where we should be, and we shouldn't hide that fact. But on the other hand, we have to keep on moving forward. And this budget does move us in a forward direction.
This train is moving along at a fairly good clip. At 5% increase for a major part of our budget. 2.5 doesn't quite keep up with that.
Right.
And that means that there's a wall ahead of us that we're going to hit as a town, not just the school, but the town. And that wall is coming up very fast.
Absolutely.
Very fast.
Absolutely.
And we need to take action to.
And I think
get
the
that
state,
changed.
I know that the NRU group has done a lot of work with our state officials. And I didn't like reading the story on the front page of the Globe today about eliminating the state income tax, which would knock $12 billion off the state budget. That's the last thing I think we needed at this point.
Yeah.
But we have to work with our state officials to figure out how to get through this mess, because 2.5, you're right, just won't allow it.
With a piece of legislation that
Right.
Senators Tarr and Tucker have proposed,
Right.
which would put the business office under the
Extreme
town
pressure.
government and take away our budget autonomy altogether. So, it could take a lot of decision-making right out of our hands, all of this planning.
It won't solve the problem, though. The
No, it
problem-
won't.
Absolutely not.
The problem is that we have a cap of 2.5% increase.
Correct.
And inflation is a whole lot higher than that.
That's right.
From my calculations, it's about 4.5% over 25 years that 2.5 has been in operation. And that puts us at a very serious disadvantage.
Right.
And when we look at what we spend as a town on per student, and compare that with either our peer group or with the state, we're either 3.5 million behind right now, or $7.8 million behind right now in the school side of the.
Right, and if you look, and most towns, I don't think have experienced the growth in enrollment that we've had over the last 15 years of some 1,100 students. And you add that into falling behind the inflation curve, and it makes it more challenging every single year, honestly.
As an older person on a fixed budget, I can appreciate the problems of people who are older and on fixed budgets. But there's a civic responsibility to educate the children, and we just can't push that under the rug as much as there are folks who would like to do that.
Any other comments on the budget? Thanks, David. And next, under new business, we have a report on strategic planning. We discussed this at our last meeting, need for a new strategic plan. David?
No, I'd actually like to postpone this agenda item.
Okay.
Okay.
I know, the reason is that I really want to show a video, and I had it up at 5 o'clock, and now we're not getting connected to the internet, so,
I've been looking forward to this all day.
I know you guys, I know. But actually, what this is, there is a need to update our strategic plan, and I provided another copy of it, which outlines the mission, the vision, the belief statements, as well as the 7 different target areas, including curriculum and professional development and finance and so forth. As the committee knows, there's a lot of work is going on, both in the state and nationally. We've certainly heard about No Child Left Behind. We know that No Child Left Behind is coming up for reconsideration. Last week, I was at the Harvard Superintendent's Association meeting, and we had a video conference live with Senator Kennedy in Washington, and talking about No Child Left Behind. And we were able to, as superintendents, express our concerns about the reauthorization of No Child Left Behind. So you've got accountability, which is at the forefront of what No Child Left Behind is all about. A counterbalance to that is a growing movement that looks at educating the whole child. And in a way, we got away from that to some extent here in North Reading last year, driven by the budget. And we need to come back and focus at the multiple dimensions of what it means to develop a very solid education and a forward-thinking education that reflects 21st century skills, reflects changes in technology, reflects changes in economics, reflects changes in communication, and globalization. ASCD, the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development, is an international organization that has a strong commitment to educating the whole child. The committee may remember that a number of years ago I served as the Massachusetts president for the Mass affiliation of ASCD, and I think that this whole child movement may serve as at least one platform for looking at our strategic plan here in North Reading. ASCD has developed a series of what they call community conversations that will help set the stage for us to have a conversation in North Reading about what is important in education and for North Reading. And in fact, I think it takes off on where Mr. Jervy left with his report, there's a copy of that report or his essay on the conditions of education. What's happening in terms of technology, and what's happening with communication, and what's happening with where some communities are losing sight of educating their child. So, I'd like to kick this off